Hi, this is Sarah, and in this next installment of using Seesaw for assessment, I'm going to show you how you can use the send back feature and what to do if you want a student to redo something but you approved it before sending it back. Also, how the draft feature works, and we'll take a quick look at the calendar view. I'm here in my Seesaw class and I want to review some of the work that's been coming in from my students. And just as a quick reminder, if you have work that needs to be reviewed, you can click on the review button at the bottom and then you can search and look at what's in a folder. So let's say I want to look at what's in the PLTW folder, and I asked students to respond to this activity and I want to approve this one. One thing I would do is recommend commenting on it. If you want to do comments, comment on it before you approve it. But then maybe I want to send this item back and ask the student a question. So what I would do is make a comment. What materials did you color over to get this texture? Because the assignment was to put a piece of paper over some kind of texture and do a crayon rubbing. So I'm going to send this back to the student and ask them to write something on here. And then I can post this back to the student. And after I have made my post, I'm going to click send back. So now it says everything in the PLTW folder has been approved. There aren't any unapproved items. Everything's been approved. If I go back to my journal, I do still have some things in the Reader's Workshop folder, but I'll deal with that in a minute. I'm going to show you what that looks like on the student side. Now that on the teacher side, I have sent back that work. So here I am, I'm signed into my pretend students class, and if I look, I can see that that student still has an activity to do. They also have some things in the inbox. So if I click on the inbox, I see messages and class announcements. There are a couple of messages and class announcements. And if I click on notifications, I can see that the teacher added something to the journal and that the teacher sent work back for review to the student and made a comment on the post. So if the student wants to go back and redo that, they can look at the comment. What materials did you color over to get this texture? Add text to show me. And the student can see that they have a draft and it says that it's visible to me and the teacher. The student can click edit and it will reopen the post, and then they can add something. I colored over a leaf. And then they can click the check mark. And when I sign in again as a teacher, I will see that that work has been resubmitted to me. Okay, here I am back in my teacher account in my pretend class. And if I go back to my unapproved posts, I will be able to see that unapproved post from that student. There it is. I colored over a leaf. And I could also get to that by looking over here in their journal, and I can see that they have 2 unapproved posts. I could also get to it by going back to the activity and looking at the activity here. So I can see that there's an unapproved post from that student, and I could review it and look at it again that way. The other thing that I could do is I could click on my inbox and look at my notifications, and I can see that my student updated their item and it's pending approval. So that's what it looks like when you send back work and how it looks to your student. I could go ahead and approve this post. They've responded and given me the information that I need. The next thing that I want to show you is what it looks like when a student submits a draft. So I have this activity outstanding called My Favorite Book, and I ask students to respond with information about their favorite book. When I look, all of the gray items in the activity are ones that have not been responded to yet. This response from Bryn is waiting for approval, But I see that Hannah submitted an item as a draft. The draft option is one that students can use when they think they want to go back and work on something that they haven't finished. So maybe they're in the middle of responding to an activity, but they didn't finish the response. They can click on the draft check mark, that's the orange check mark, instead of the green check mark, and that will save their work for later. That's something that students might do. However, if you look at a response from a student and you think that the response looks complete and you think that it's a possibility that they just checked the wrong check mark, you can, as a teacher, turn it the rest of the way in. So you can click on Show Draft, and then you would click on Draft Visible to Teachers, click on the Edit button. And after that item finishes loading, you can see it. Oh, this drawing looks finished. She's got a drawing of a character. She talks about the name of the book and something in there. And I think that it's finished. As the teacher, I can click the check mark. Then what will happen on the student side is the next time that they sign in, there will be a notification that the teacher submitted the assignment for them. So now if I decide that I want to look at that activity, My Favorite Book, I will see that Bryn's is still outstanding, but Hannah's is no longer a draft. It has been turned in. And at this point, I could approve all if I want to. I'll say again, if there's something where a student is talking, I would recommend listening to it before you approve it. So that's how the send back feature works. Let's say that I approved this item from Bryn and I didn't actually mean to. I could still write a comment on it that says something a little bit more, like, tell me about Percy and friendship. So I could post that, and there won't be a notification that I sent it back, but I can show you what it looks like on the student side when I make that comment. So I'm back in the student account, and the teacher made a comment on that student's work, didn't ask the student to review it. Nevertheless, if the student looks at their inbox and looks at notifications and sees that the teacher has commented and asked for a little bit more information, the student could click on it. And if you have item editing turned on, then the student can click the three dots and edit the item. And they can add one more text box. So then the student could add one more text box and they could press the check mark again and resubmit it. And you'll see on the teacher side then, it comes in as a new notification. So here I am in the teacher account again, and I can review and see that my student has resubmitted that thing and said something about friendship. One more thing that I want to show you, because this is a great accommodation for many of our students. As you're reviewing and commenting on student work, when you click comment, you can write a comment out with the keyboard, or you can voice record comments for your students. And when you click the microphone, then you'll click the second microphone. Wow, I really like your drawing. Keep up the good work, or whatever you would want to say. And then you press the check mark. And when the student goes in again to their journal, they will see that there is a voice recorded comment for them to listen to. For many of our students, this might be more useful than having something written out that they have to try to read. It might be much easier for them to just play back a comment. And at this point, I can approve this and I'm all caught up. If you want to use the send back feature or ask your students to redo work, you'll have to have the setting turned on. Go to the wrench icon. And under students, you'll have to have this item turned on, enable item editing. So if that's off, they can't redo their work. If it's on, they can. Another way that you can look at the posts in your class is using the calendar view. And right now I'm in the feed view. I can toggle to the calendar view by pressing this button here. When I do that, I can see that I have different items coming in the whole month of April. I could, for example, click on April 16th And when I do that, I can see the 2 items that came in on April 16th. And when you're done looking at the calendar view, you can just click back and look at the feed view again. We've covered a lot about using Seesaw for assessment. And in the next video, we're going to talk a little bit about workflow, how to manage your workflow when you have so much information coming into Seesaw all the time.